This news update is brought to you by
I won for me to me.
For me?
Yes. You don't need speakers, right?
Upgrade to win every week with Lime. Sign up for Lime TV or broadband or purchase an iPhone 6 or Samsung Note 4. Upgrade Christmas with Lime.
It's Tuesday, December the 30th, 2014, and this is the Barbados Today Morning News Update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Minister of Finance Chris Sinckler has rated the latest Standard & Poor's report on Barbados as illogical and unjustified. In an interview with Barbados Today, Sinckler did not use the word poor to describe the December 19th lowering by S&P of the island's long-term sovereign rating to B from BB-, but did give the report a thumbs down. While not dismissing the report completely out of hand, he tore into the document charging that there were many contradictions in it and that S&P's overall conclusions simply did not match the facts presented within the body of that report. The Minister of Finance also said, while it may be fair comment for S&P to recommend that this country speed up achievement of its targets, that was merely from a statistical point of view.
Rating that from a desk, sitting down at a desk somewhere, is different from actually dealing with it on the ground. When you're dealing with a society, and how much a society can actually take in terms of the dosage of bad medicine or tough austerity measures, in terms of holding both the social and psychological fabric of the society together, but also the commercial and economic. So we have to take all of those things into consideration. It's not just a statistical measure. If it was just plain statistics, then we do it. You don't care who you impact on. You don't care who you dislodge or dislocate. You don't care which business closed, who gets unemployed, who's suffering. You don't care about that because you are dealing with statistics on a paper. But when you're dealing with real people and people's lives and businesses and investments and so forth, you have to take all these things into consideration.
In other news now, building contractor Barrack will get an early gift for the new year, 8 years overdue. The more than $70 million owed to him by the government will finally be paid in the middle of next month. Well-placed sources told Barbados Today the full settlement of Barrack's debt should be paid the second week in January or the third at the latest. Our sources said some of the documents have been signed and that the overall settlement has been agreed. However, our informant was not in a position to provide the final figure for the outstanding debt owed to Barrack by the government. When contacted, Minister of Housing and Lands Dennis Kelman did not deny a settlement was around the proverbial corner. Now, early last month, Minister of Finance Chris Sinckler disclosed that Barrack had so far received $5 million from the government and was in line to receive another $8 million. The island's main public sector trade union wants an investigation into the employment practices of commercial banks in Barbados. Acting General Secretary of the National Union of Public Workers, Rosalind Smith, told Barbados Today there was a need for a study to be conducted into the ratio of locals to foreigners being employed by such financial institutions. Although the NUPW is not the bargaining agents for the bank employees, Smith was concerned about the pending losses of Barbadian jobs as a result of the planned streamlining of Scotiabank and RBC Royal Bank. Smith further stated that the public needed to get involved in this matter. The Barbados Workers Union is the main bargaining agent for employees of commercial banks, but General Secretary Tony Moore could not be reached for comment on Smith's suggestion. There's been a call for Christians in Barbados to do what has been described as serious damage to the kingdom of darkness. The appeal came yesterday from Peter Williams, the eldest of 3 sons of the late Reverend Dr. Holmes Williams. In one of several tributes during Dr. Williams' funeral service at the Wilde Gymnasium, Peter suggested that Christians, particularly members of the People's Cathedral which his father founded, to take up the mantle he left behind and bring converts into the kingdom.
My father has truly poured out himself over the last 50+ years in ministry. I think he still had a lot more to offer, but the Lord is sovereign and he knows why he took him at this time. But the challenge is now for us who remain to take up the challenge and example given to us and to do serious damage to the kingdom of darkness.
His second son, Paul, who also paid tribute, revealed that his father's vision for order and excellence even included written details years ago of how yesterday's funeral service must be conducted.
This service that we are partaking in today shows his meticulous nature, because back in 2006, he wrote his funeral service, the detailed hymns that were to be sung, who was to preach, who was to say a prayer, who was to speak. He did everything meticulously. He sealed it in an envelope. And when we opened it a few days ago and we read the details, at the bottom we could hear his voice as it said, "You are not to deviate from these instructions."
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, I'm Red Plastic Bag. Anyone who knows me knows I don't like cold. Sunshine reigns in my country. I love it.
Get your sun power.
News from our neighbors now. Police in Trinidad have made another major drug haul. They've discovered about $1.5 million worth of marijuana and 4 cases of Dumaria cigarettes in several crocus bags in bushes at a remote beach. The 152 kilograms of cannabis were found around 5 a.m. Sunday. Police believe the contraband may have sneaked into the country by boat. No one was arrested. Many St. Lucians are still traumatized 1 year after a devastating trough hit the country, claiming 6 lives. The National Emergency Management Organization, or NEMO, says an important lesson that every member of the public should take away from last year's tragedy is that disaster can strike at any time. So be prepared.
St. Lucians everywhere cannot help but pause to remember the tragic disaster which struck the island on Christmas Eve 2013. 6 lives were lost as a low-level trough system affected the island on Christmas Eve, continuing into Christmas Day. Heavy rains pummeled the island, causing rivers to overflow their banks, leading to massive floods that swept away bridges in Mihu, Piai and Canrees. Acting Director of NEMO, Velda Joseph, says the Christmas Eve trough drove home the point that disaster can strike at any time.
I think 1 year later, persons would be reflecting. Some persons may even be a little wary of to be looking out to see what will really happen. But I think the message is very simple, that people need to be prepared for disasters at any time.
Oswald says in Bexomark area, people remain traumatized after having to deal with many adverse weather conditions. He too suffered much personal loss during the trough of 2013. One of his workers perished after being swept away by a raging river.
On the international scene, the U.S. says it has conducted an airstrike against Islamist insurgent group Al-Shabaab in Somalia. Its target was a senior leader in the area of Sakau, according to a statement by the U.S. Defense Department. The department said at this time it did not assess there to be any civilian or bystander casualties. The U.S. has supported the African Union force that has driven Al-Shabaab out of the capital, Mogadishu, and other towns since 2011. In September, Al-Shabaab leader Ahmed Abi Godani was killed in a U.S. airstrike. And finally, a healthcare worker who has just returned from West Africa has been diagnosed with Ebola and is being treated in hospital in Glasgow, Scotland. The woman who arrived from Sierra Leone on Sunday night is in isolation at Glasgow's Gartlevel Hospital. At a news conference in Glasgow, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon stressed that the risk to the general public was very low. And that's our Barbados Today morning news update. We will be back again this afternoon. But until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune into Channel 101 on Lime TV to get all the latest news and the sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.
This news update is brought to you by
You got an upgrade for Christmas.
If you're feeling lucky, you could win some money.
Upgrade for Christmas.
$200,000 in cash and prizes. With Lime, you could win some money. It's Lime's Christmas lottery. 250 winners this Christmas, oh yeah.
Sign up or upgrade to super fast broadband, Lime TV, e-billing, a data plan. Top up $15. Purchase a handset or text 4263 to enter.
Upgrade for Christmas.